Hello everybody, Dylan here today. Today's top 10 is going to be top 10 Sonic the Hedgehog ripoffs. Now in the 90s, there were plenty of companies that wanted to cash in on the radicalness of Sonic the Hedgehog and the speed of his gameplay, and there was plenty upon plenty of knockoffs. So let's look at 10 of those today on DHT. Number 10 is Zool, Ninja the Nth Dimension. Now this was made by Gremlin Graphics for the Amiga, but it actually went on to be ported to many other consoles, including the Game Boy, and it actually got a sequel, Zool 2. This is probably one of the more original of the Sonic knockoffs, but just by playing it with its speed, momentum, and everything else, you can just tell that it's a cheap Sonic knockoff. But as knockoffs come, this is probably one of the more original ones because at least they just didn't take an animal and make it radical. So let's move on to number 9. Number 9 is Arrow the Acrobat. Now, Arrow the Acrobat, despite the pun name, is actually a decent mascot. He was made by Iguana Entertainment for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Now, his gameplay is totally original. You're flying around and platforming, and it's not really a direct rip-off of Sonic, but his design is. You can tell that he was made to be an edgy animal character and has direct inspirations from Sonic. The gloves, the face, the radicalness of him, you can just tell that he's trying to be an edgy Sonic knockoff. But as knockoffs go, he's still quite original and actually did do well as a game. So let's move on to number 8, where things get worse. And now number 8 is the ungodly abomination known as Radical Rex. Now, if the name in the cover doesn't hint off that he's a Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff, seeing that he's riding a skateboard and has cartoon features, when you start to play the game, you will realize that it's just a carbon copy of Sonic the Hedgehog. The only original things that he brings to the table is a skateboard, something to which Sonic was already doing, being snowboarding on levels, and his flame ability, which I'll give him that is totally original. But other than that, he's an obnoxious, annoying character who's trying way too hard to be cool. His fast-paced gameplay is also a direct sign that he's a Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff, and he's a dime a dozen. Nobody remembered him. He just didn't connect well with the audience, because it's one thing to be cool and then it's another thing to just try to be cool, and kids aren't stupid. They can tell what's cool and what's not cool, and Radical Rex wasn't cool, and Activision, you really should have known better than to bring us this god-awful piece of junk of a game. Next on our list is returning again, Crash Bandicoot. Now, Crash Bandicoot isn't a direct rip-off of Sonic because he has a lot of original things on his own, but the Sonic influences are obvious, seeing how he has a mad scientist who's goofy and cartoony and always trying to get him. He had racing games, party games, he's a platformer, and the beta for Crash Bandicoot was called Sonic's Ass Game, so it's obvious you can see the Sonic the Hedgehog influences. Not to mention, when it came to marketing the game, Sony took the same approach that Sega did, challenging Mario and Nintendo to fights, just like with Sonic. So Crash Bandicoot, you had a lot of homages to Sonic and you did a lot of the same strategies as Sonic, but I do believe you can stand on your own. But there's no denying that you are a Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff, or at least an influence of Sonic. Number 6 on our list is Oscar. Now, I'm gonna say this again with another person who's on my list later on, but Oscar tries to copy the gameplay style of Sonic the Hedgehog without realizing why the gameplay style worked. Oscar moves too fast through this level for you to even control him, and the level isn't built around speed, it's built around just platforming. Sonic the Hedgehog worked because the levels were built around platforming and speed, and you could always slow Sonic down. The reason why Oscar doesn't work is because he's slippery. Now, he's also an extreme animal, you can tell by his design, and his whole gimmick is that he goes into movies. So, besides design-wise and trying to be an extreme mascot that runs fast, there isn't a lot of influences of Sonic. But I do believe that if you go and play Oscar yourself, you'll be able to tell right away that he was trying to be a knockoff of Sonic. So yeah, you can go get his games. They're on the DS now. They're releasing remakes on the DS, so go get that. So yeah, Oscar you're not so bad, but we can tell you're a ripoff of Sonic. Now, next on our list, returning again, it's Awesome Possum. Now, just ignore that he's the animal who's trying to have attitude and focus on his gameplay. He's yet again another platformer that wants to run fast, but not knowing how that gameplay works, and he rips off the whole theme of Sonic. Awesome Possum is trying to save the environment. What more can I say? He's running fast and trying to save the environment. He's a fucking Sonic clone, and he's not even a good one. No one fucking likes him. Like, his gameplay is hated, and he was way too preachy with his message. If you're going to preach something, be sure to do it subtly. He did not. So that's why Awesome Possum is a failed mascot and a Sonic knockoff. Next, we have Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel. Yes, that name is exactly the way you heard it. He is trying to be an adventurer, and besides his design just being a direct ripoff of Sonic, he has the balls to not only copy his gameplay, but copy his attack style. Zero spins into people to kill them. He spins into his enemies to kill them. Like, can there be any more of a direct Sonic knockoff? If you showed me the box art of Zero and told me that he was a member of the Sonic the Hedgehog universe, I would believe you if I didn't know about Sonic already. Zero, you're just not even trying. You're probably one of the most obvious of Sonic knockoffs, but there's plenty more going onto the list. Number 3, we have made by Ocean Studio, Mr. Nuts. Now, besides his name being completely ridiculous, his gameplay is so bland and generic. Besides his design and basic gameplay style being like Sonic, he doesn't even run like Sonic, so it really makes his gameplay boring and repetitive. You can tell this one was just made to cash in on the edginess of Sonic. Other than that, he really doesn't have anything to offer. He's just a generic platformer. But I think he is enough of a ripoff to be up here at number 3. And now, number 2, Rocky Rodent. Now, Rocky Rodent would be at number 1 if it wasn't for the fact that he has some original power-ups, and it's a pretty neat concept on its own. You're chasing after a bad guy, and you get this weird hairdo to help you projectile yourself up into the sky and land on different areas that would be normally inaccessible. But it does copy the whole running fast aspect of Sonic and the edgy attitude. You can even tell by the sneakers he's wearing. If you look at this advertisement, you can obviously tell this is a Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff. But this is a Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff worth checking out. If you were a kid who had a Super Nintendo back in the day, then this would have definitely been a good substitute for you to get. It was even advertised to be a Sonic the Hedgehog clone. So this one's really obvious, but at least it's fun, unlike number 1. Number 1, and you've probably seen this coming, Bubsy the Bobcat. Yet again, another returning one for my failed mascots list. There seems to be a lot on here. Bubsy tried to copy all elements of Sonic through his design, through his gameplay, and everything else. The reason why it doesn't work with Bubsy is because running fast isn't rewarding. You slip around and you bump into enemies, and because you die in just one hit, your journey is soon to end really quickly. And another major problem is there is falling damage. That's one thing that if it was in Sonic, it would be a really hard thing to do. There's even a hack where they put Bubsy in Sonic and gave Bubsy his gameplay style, and it is hell. Bubsy is a knockoff of Sonic, but he is an unfun knockoff. You can play Bubsy if you want to. I say go check Bubsy out, but he is awful. His gameplay is terrible. His concept is annoying. He's always spewing out pop culture references every 10 seconds. He's just really not even worth it, and I'm glad that he died as soon as he went to 3D on the PlayStation. And that was my top 10 Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff characters. Now, by no means are these bad games, well, some of them actually are, but a lot of them are good, and I suggest you check out all of these. And if you don't think it's a Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff, you can say why not. If you have any more Sonic the Hedgehog knockoff games, comment down below and I'll talk about them maybe later. So yeah, I hope you guys like this top 10 list. There are plenty more. You can go check them out in the top 10 playlist, which I'll have in the description below. I'm glad to be back, guys. I'm gonna be producing some more really awesome videos soon, so stick around. This has been Dylan from DHT Games, Comics, Theories, and more. Bye.
What is up, Drama Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news.
Somebody once told me that I could make some money by bullying some people online. So I grew a gnome goatee and put on a stupid beanie and started making up some dank lies. So I'm making death threats and I'm calling people nigger, counting that cash on my channel's growing bigger.